Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm your host Isaiah, and today I want to talk about the Nintendo 64.
Jingle bells, Santa smells, Christmas really stunk. I got nothing that I like, my gifts were all just junk.
Boxes full of clothes,
CDs no one knows. When I wanted something for my Nintendo 64. Zelda's great, Turok 2, South Park would be fine. How about Rogue Squadron? That game should be mine.
Make up for a lame Christmas. Get the hits you missed on N64.
Mom and Dad, I'm so sad.
Yes, I feel like most retro gamers, if not all retro gamers, have an opinion of the Nintendo 64. But this bad boy was essentially Nintendo's answer to the Sega Saturn that came out in 2004, and Sony's PlayStation 1 that came out in 1995. And yeah, so the Nintendo released the Nintendo 64 in 1996. Actually, that's the year I was born. So I grew up playing Nintendo 64. Another reason I think Nintendo 64 was awesome compared to like the PlayStation 2 and the Sega Saturn is that there were just so many attachments for your controller. For example, memory cards. I mean, for some reason it was weird you like plug it into the controller rather than the system, but these were cool. This is actually the Intech memory card for Nintendo 64. My grandmother gave this to me. Funny enough. And yeah, so it had like memory cards, the Rumble Pack. Those Rumble Packs are pretty big. Another attachment is if you had Pokemon Stadium growing up, there was something you could plug into your controller and pop in your like Pokemon Yellow or something. Yeah, Pokemon Yellow, Red, Blue. Generation 1 was all compatible, and I believe Generation 2. Don't quote me on that, but it's a possibility. Yeah, so you could send your Pokemon over from Pokemon Red, Yellow, Blue and send it into Pokemon Stadium and actually use those to fight. That was cool. And yeah, there's another thing with Pokemon Yellow and Nintendo 64 is I believe, I never actually did it, but if you had that insert, you were able to play Pokemon Yellow on your Nintendo 64. Fact check me on that. I believe that was a thing. I'm almost certain it was. Another huge reason for Nintendo 64's success was it was Nintendo's first 3D console, or console that could play 3D games. Aside from, I guess, Super Mario RPG, you could count that as 3D, but like games that were truly 3D. So Super Mario 64, this was a huge deal back in the day. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, this was the game to have. If you didn't have this, you're not a true Nintendo fan. Yeah, so 3D games, truly 3D games. Now the second reason for Nintendo 64 success was these babies right here. Cartridges. So because Nintendo 64 games were all on cartridges, there wasn't really much loading time. So you plug your system in, you put in the game, you turn it on, and it starts up almost instantly. Compared to like the PlayStation 1 or the PlayStation 2, I had those consoles growing up as well, and yeah, sometimes you're just stuck waiting. Now, I just want to talk about some of the things that made Nintendo 64 so iconic. For example, it was the first console that had 4 controller slots, so it was the king of co-op. You and your friends hook this baby up, and bada bing, bada boom. Friday night playing GoldenEye or Smash Bros. Or Mario Party, Mario Kart. You name it, you and your buddies can play it, right? Another thing growing up with Nintendo 64 is I created a lot of core memories on it with my siblings, my family. And one of the deepest memories I have is probably in 1999 or 2000. I was like 4 or 5. Whenever you can really start creating memories. It was end of summer that year, probably August. And my siblings and I, we were playing my dad's 64. And he didn't love that. He didn't love when we played his, because that was his. Anyways, whatever happened, the parents weren't around, and you know how kids are, they're mischievous. We were up to no good, causing trouble in the neighborhood, that kind of thing. And yeah, so we had a game room, and it wasn't smart of my parents, but they put all of our Christmas gifts, or what they began to buy us, like in the closet of the game room, because up until then, we never really went in there. We had no reason to like go in the closet. It was just clothes and stuff. But we did. We were exploring, and one of the things we found was a Nintendo just like this. Nintendo 64. I remember it was the sky blue, and So this is the Japanese version. The bottom here is like, I believe they call it smoke gray, but ours was this kind of blue, this, and the bottom part here was blue. The controller was blue. And we opened that shit up right away. Oh, I'm going to unbox this for you. I bought this 64 a few years ago. But yeah, the Nintendo 64, it looks something like this. Hold on. So, our very first 64, it looked like this. This blue on top, this blue on bottom, and then the controller was this blue as well. And I think it looked like this, or this bottom part may have been blue as well. But, yeah, so we got into that. We got into the rest of our Christmas gifts, and we were like, holy shit, there's a Nintendo 64. That's awesome. And then we found a couple of other toys. I don't really recall what, but just kids getting to their Christmas gifts early. And suddenly my mom came in and she started crying. She thought Christmas was ruined. The whole spiel, wait until your dad gets home. So when Dad got home, things went from bad to worse. Back then, he was a bit off the rails. He was crazy. He had this super hot, like, hot sauce, and he fed that to us. He made us, like, drink the hot sauce. We were crying. Kids like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, like, you can't really do spicy. So he gave us all, like, a spoonful of hot sauce. He took off the belt. He beat us, and he was like, Christmas is over. Christmas is over. We're giving all your gifts to other kids. We're sending them back, whatever. There's no Christmas this year. And, yeah, we were terrified. I'm having a flashback right now. However, a few months goes by, this whole situation blows over. Then on that Christmas morning, we opened up that Nintendo 64. We probably completely forgot about this by the time Christmas rolled around. But we were just like, wow, a Nintendo 64, holy shit, what are we going to play? And it was cool because my dad, he had a 64 prior, so like, we already knew how to play. We had games. We were ready to go. He didn't really enjoy me playing a 64, especially because I was the youngest at the time. And yeah, just I don't know. I can understand not wanting like your babies playing your video games. I can understand, to be honest. But yeah. So finally, there's a Nintendo 64 in the house that I can play. I can put as many hours on it as I want, and there's no one there to tell me no. So this. This essentially was like giving a motorcycle to a 20-year-old. Like, this is freedom, baby. This is freedom right here. And yeah, so that's my favorite Nintendo 64 memory. And just since then, like, yeah, I remember making memories with my siblings playing games like GoldenEye, Mario Party, all these games I still have over there. I want to show you in another video. I'm going to show you my 64 collection. And yeah, that's my favorite thing. And up until this day, the Nintendo 64, I play it more often than I play my PlayStation 5. I play it more than I play my Switch. It's still my favorite console, my most played console to date. To get back to it, another cool thing about Nintendo 64 is just like colored cartridges. Just take a moment to look. It's colored cartridges, man. You don't find these today. Like, nothing's colored, nothing's fun. The Nintendo 64, it came in so many variants. Like, you have the black and gray classic, like 007 vibe. You have fun-tastic series, lime green, orange. I saw a Donkey Kong 64, Nintendo Down Under. He has that. Yeah, it just came in so many fun colors. Why the Nintendo 64 wasn't big with a lot of people is the controller, which everyone has seen a Nintendo 64 controller. You have these 3 handles, and it's just like, oh, what's the official way to hold it? Do you hold it like this, like a Super Nintendo controller? Or do you hold it like this? I grew up holding it like this. That's how I hold it, but I've seen people hold it some funky ways, and this wasn't a cool thing back then. A lot of people hated this. I still enjoy it. I've never found any problem with it. In fact, to me, this is the perfect controller. Like, everything's just so accessible. In my personal opinion, the Nintendo 64, it has a sleek design. It's easy to work on. The power situation, it's like an external power, but it plugs into the system. Like, that was cool. That was cool back then. Yeah, Nintendo 64, you can't beat it. Another accessory that just crossed my mind, if you ever played Hey You Pikachu, there was like a microphone that came with your Nintendo 64, and you could talk to Pikachu. And that's cool. Like, I can't see you talking to Pikachu on a Switch or a PlayStation 5 or whatever. So yeah, N64, Nintendo, bring it back. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.